I work at a lighthouse that has no coastline. Something knocks every night at 3:11. People think lighthouses belong on the coast. That they warn ships away from rocks or guide them to harbor. But I work at a lighthouse that's nowhere near the sea. No boats. No shore. No cliffs. Just a dead salt flat stretching in every direction for miles. And in the center, like a rusted tooth jammed in the desert's jaw, sits Lighthouse Station 47B. I was assigned here last spring. Government contract. Good money. Simple instructions: keep the light turning from sunset to sunrise, don't leave the tower between midnight and 4 a.m., and if anyone knocks, don't answer. They never explained who might knock. I figured it was just a wildlife deterrent policy. Maybe coyotes. Maybe local weirdos. It wasn't. Because it knocks like it remembers you. Rules for Station 47B. 1. Begin light rotation at exact sundown. No delays. Do not skip. 2. Keep all doors locked from the inside after 11:45 p.m. Double check the hatch at the top of the stairs. 3. If you hear a knock at any entrance, do not respond. Do not speak. Do not even acknowledge it. 4. If the knock is followed by your name spoken in your voice, remain perfectly still and do not blink. 5. Should the light stop rotating, use the manual crank. You have 60 seconds to restart it before it sees you. 6. Never, ever let the light fall on the same spot twice. Keep it turning. Keep it blind. 7. Leave the lighthouse only after sunrise. If it's dark, you are not alone. At first, it was quiet. I read books. Listen to shortwave broadcasts. Logged weather patterns. No knock. No voices. Just the wind against stone and the metallic whine of the light housing. Then, one night, exactly at 3:11 a.m., someone knocked on the upper hatch. That hatch is 60 feet in the air, reachable only from inside the spiral staircase that leads to the beacon. No ladder. No platform. But the knock was firm. Rhythmic. 3 taps, then silence. I stared at the ceiling for an hour, holding my breath. It didn't knock again. The next night, same time, 3 knocks. And this time, my name came after. Not whispered. Not shouted. Spoken in my exact voice. As if I were calling myself from the other side of the steel. I bit down on my knuckle so hard I tasted blood just to stay quiet. It left after exactly 3 minutes. That's when I reviewed the old logs. The ones they told me not to bother reading. I broke the logbox. Inside were hundreds of pages, shift logs from past keepers. Most ended abruptly. Some had large blacked out sections. Others were just the same sentence repeated for pages. It's not a knock. It's remembering how to be a hand. I found one entry from 1983 that shook me. The light doesn't warn ships. It blinds something buried here. Something that only sees in stillness. After that, I made sure the light never stopped. I cranked it when the motor lagged. I learned the rhythm of its turning like a heartbeat. Every 10 seconds, it passed a full circle. Every pass bought me 10 more seconds of safety. Then, the power cut out. I was at the bottom of the tower when it happened. No wind. No thunder. Just blackness, and the sound of something breathing up the stairwell. The crank was rusted. I nearly snapped my wrist forcing it, and just as I got the beam turning again, the knock came. Not from above this time. From inside the walls. It's worse when it tries to mimic emotion. Sometimes it cries now. Like a child. Like a lover. Once, it sounded like my father, who died 5 years ago, asking why I let him drown. The knocks are no longer taps. They're like bones against steel. And sometimes, they come in patterns. Morse code. I decoded it once. It said, "Why do you think you were sent here? The tower isn't a job post. It's a prison. Not for me. Not yet. For it. And the light, the eternal, blinding rotation, is its cage. If the beam ever rests on one place for too long, the air grows heavy. Things shift in the shadows. I caught my own silhouette once, standing still even as I moved. Watching me with my head tilted. I know what that means. It's practicing. Last week, I found something under the floorboards. A dried handprint made of salt, scorched into the wood. Next to it, scratched into the metal base. If you see the desert blink, it's already too late. I haven't slept since. My eyes burn. My fingers shake. The crank handle is wearing down from overuse, and the generator hiccups more each night. I know what's coming. The power will fail again. The light will stop. and it will remember where I am. So if someone offers you a government job maintaining a lighthouse nowhere near water, say no. Because the ocean doesn't need light here. Something older does. And it's waiting in the dark. Knocking with your hands. Calling your name. And when you finally answer, it's your turn to stand watch. I don't remember falling asleep, but I must have. For the first time in weeks, I woke up slumped at the base of the beacon crank, forehead pressed against cold metal. The light was still rotating, sluggish, but steady. For a moment, I thought I had made it through the night. I even laughed. Weak and cracked, like it belonged to someone else. Until I saw the footprints. They circled the room. Salt-crusted, barefoot, and soaking wet. Not puddles, no, this was different. The floor was dry where I had walked, but where it had walked, the wood had warped like it had been drenched for years. And trailing behind those prints was something worse. Smear marks. Dragging. Like something was pulled. Or something was learning how to walk upright again. I ran to the upper hatch. Locked. I checked the generator. Still humming. The rotation arm was warm. All systems working. But the light wasn't casting a proper beam anymore, it was diluted, like fog in reverse. Like something in the air was absorbing the light before it reached the glass. That's when I noticed the horizon. It was blinking. Not fast. Not with light. But with absence. The skyline, flat and distant, would shudder once every few minutes. The kind of shudder you only notice when you're staring too long at something that isn't supposed to move. Like a crack in your ceiling that's just a little wider than it was yesterday. And every time the blink came, the air inside the tower twitched. Like breath. Not mine. Something was breathing through the concrete now. I tried the radio. Static. Then, under the static, my own voice again. Monotone. Repeating the rules. One after the other. Except it added a new line. If you've heard this before, you're already behind the light. I don't know what that means. But I haven't stopped checking my shadow since. Sometimes it moves a second too late. Sometimes it doesn't move at all. One night I caught it mimicking my face, grinning when I wasn't. I turned the crank so fast I tore open the skin on my palm, just to keep the beam spinning. And even with the pain, I swear I heard it laughing in the floorboards below. The knocking hasn't stopped either. It's louder now. Not just at 3:11. At random. Morning. Noon. Sometimes in the silence between the click of the rotating beam. And it's closer. I heard it behind me once, even though I was on the top deck and every door was sealed. When I turned around, I saw nothing. But the crank was turning by itself. I tried to leave. Packed what I could. Brought a flashlight. Waited for sunrise, the real kind. Not the blink. Not the false gold the lighthouse sometimes gives me when it's mocking sleep. I opened the hatch at dawn. The desert was gone. In its place was a vast mirror of black water, perfectly still. No wind. No sound. But the salt in the air was so thick it hurt to breathe. The flat surface reflected the lighthouse back at me, but there was no light at the top in the reflection. Only something leaning out the window, watching me. It had my face. And its mouth was open wider than any human mouth should stretch. I slammed the hatch shut and vomited. The bile burned like seawater. And when I wiped my mouth, my fingers came away wrinkled, like I had been submerged for hours. Since then, the tower has changed. Doors appear that weren't there. Windows seal shut in the middle of the night. The stairs sometimes spiral up endlessly before resetting me at the bottom, gasping for breath. And through it all, the knocking continues. Not always with fists. Sometimes it's nails. Sometimes it's teeth. Yesterday, I found a journal in a drawer I swear didn't exist. It was written in a language I don't understand, except for one page, written in perfect English, dated 1946. The light is not for the sea. The light is for the wound in the world. And we are the bandage. Let it blink, and it opens. Let it open, and it feeds. And when it feeds, it remembers your shape. That's when I knew. The lighthouse isn't a warning. It's a weapon. A defense against something that was buried long before there were maps. Before there was language. And it's leaking now. Hungry. Watching. I no longer believe I was hired. I believe I was selected. I've seen my replacement already. She arrived last night. Knocked once at the gate. Looked just like I did when I first arrived. Same unsure smile. Same worn duffel bag. But when I opened the door, she asked the one question I feared most. Aren't you supposed to be gone by now?" I never answered. I just handed her the crank handle and locked myself in the attic. I've been up here ever since. Writing this. Watching the beam weaken. Watching the horizon twitch. Watching the walls breathe. Because the truth is, I don't know if she's real. I don't know if I am anymore. And I swear, just now, as the light swung past, I saw a ship in the distance. Not on water. On air. Sailing through the black like a shark under glass, angling toward the tower. Its mast was a human spine. Its sails were stitched from skin. And the thing at the bow? It was knocking. So here's what I'll say if anyone finds this. You didn't get here by accident. You weren't recruited. You were remembered. And the light? It's not there to guide you. It's there to stop you from being seen. There are things I'm starting to see now, not with my eyes, but in the spaces between light. Things that twitch just outside the edges of the beam. They don't move like animals. They don't flee when caught in the light. They fold. Like sheets of paper being collapsed into flat geometry and slipping under the world. Once, I thought I saw a human silhouette do this. A man standing ankle-deep in the salt flats, arms outstretched, screaming silently, before bending into himself and vanishing like a page being crumpled into ash. The new keeper doesn't talk much anymore. She moves through the tower like she was born here. She doesn't flinch when the knocking starts. Doesn't run when the power flickers. She stares out the window too long, though, at things I don't dare follow with my eyes. Once, I saw her writing something with her finger on the fogged glass. When I wiped it away, it was my name, backwards. And she started humming. Same melody. Every night. 3 notes, descending. Like a warning. Or a lullaby. Or the world forgetting its own name. Last night, I climbed to the top of the tower and found her asleep at the crank. She was pale. Lips cracked. But she was still breathing. I didn't wake her. I just looked out over the flats. Something had changed. There was movement. Not wind. Not creatures. But shadows of structures, like distant cities being built and unbuilt in seconds. Towers rising and falling in silence. Spirals of blinking light that folded into the ground like sinking ships. I blinked, and it was gone, all of it. Just the dark again. But the sense remained. We are not alone on the flats. We never were. I went back downstairs and found something new scratched into the stairwell wall. Words that hadn't been there before. My handwriting. The knock isn't to come in. It's to see if you've gone soft enough to wear. The light flickered. For exactly 23 seconds, the rotation jammed. I scrambled for the crank, but something was already holding it. Cold fingers. Not visible, but I could feel them, wrapped around the metal just beneath my skin. I felt teeth in the steel. Breathing in the wires. My hands shook so badly I fell backward down 2 stairs, and when I opened my eyes, the new keeper was staring down at me. She didn't help me up. She only said one thing. If it sees you again, it won't ask this time. Then she turned and walked back into the dark. That was 3 hours ago. Now I'm in a lower level. The beam is still turning, but it's slower. I can hear something wet and heavy pacing the floors above me. It doesn't creak. It doesn't stomp. It drips. Like it's dragging itself from one side of the room to the other, testing the spaces where light hasn't touched in years. The walls are wet now. Not with water. With condensation that tastes like blood. I know. I checked. My teeth are loose. My skin itches at night. I don't remember the last time I blinked without seeing the tower from the outside. It's like my memories are detaching. Floating. The flat has no end. And sometimes, I think the lighthouse isn't built on land at all. Sometimes I think it's built on something sleeping. And the rotation is a spoon in its eye. Every spin, another warning. Not yet. Not now. Stay dreaming. But it's waking up. I know it is. The knock came again, just now. Not at the door. Not at the hatch. From inside the mirror. I didn't know the lighthouse had mirrors. Until I looked down and realized the floor was glass. And beneath it? Beneath it, myself. Staring up. Smiling. Mouth stitched shut, eyes wide, fists clenched. Knocking. Knocking. Begging to be let in. Or let out. I don't know which. So this is the last thing I'll write. My final log. There's no time left. Because I understand now, what the light is stopping. What the knocking really is. It's not someone at the door. It's the shape you leave behind when the light forgets you. It's your soul banging on the walls of your body, asking to be let out before it's worn like skin. It's what you become if you stay too long in places not meant to be seen by the living. The light is slowing. The salt is rising through the boards. And my reflection is breathing. If someone finds this, anyone, please, never take this job. If they call you, don't answer. If you feel drawn to it, resist. If you dream of the tower, of the knock, of the voice that says your name like it's trying it on like a new coat, don't follow it. Because the lighthouse does not need a keeper. It needs a mask. And once you wear it, you only shine so the dark can see you coming.